Hey guys, stay tuned. I'm going to show you how I made this really cool birthday card. It's pretty funny, I thought. I love the hipster stamp set. And this is card 3 of this series that I'm doing. Welcome back guys to another episode. And this is going to be the little guy we're going to use, the little chicken guy. I think we're going to turn it into a birthday card. And I already pre-cut out a piece of my Canson's color paper with the stitched rectangle die set. And these are the 4 colors we're going to try. And this time I'm going to do it, which most people are probably familiar with this technique, is you just directly apply it to your craft mat like that, and you'll squirt it with some water, and then you'll just directly pick up some of the colors. Like that. And I'm going to speed this up so it doesn't take forever, and I like to dry in between coats with my Wagner tool, so I'm going to speed it up for you. Okay, so here's our finished product, and I really love these colors. They turned out very well, and like I said, with distressed oxide inks, what's so special about them is at first it looked muddy, but as it dried, the bottom colors come through. So you can still see the violet here, and you can still see the orange even through these areas. And you can make them muddy if you go too much. That's why you got to move fast. But it's amazing how it layers, and then when it dries, how they come through. So it's just really cool, and I really like how this turned out. So now, and also too, if you notice how I turn it over and do this, I've found for myself the best technique is because it helps dry the core of the paper faster, and it keeps from running the risk of burning your paper. Because you can do that with heat tools. That's why you got to be careful with it. And it kind of helps flatten it out the other direction. So now we are going to move on and do our sentiment stamp now. But actually I'm going to do it a little different. I have the coordinating die sets. So we're actually going to cut him out and then put some 3D foam squares behind him and have him pop up off the card a little bit. So we'll do that next. Okay guys, so now I just have a piece of my Canson's watercolor paper here. And since we're going to be coloring him in, I'm going to use the smoother side. And we've got our Stamp Perfect tool here. And since we're using the red rubber and foam, we don't need our insert. I have been known to forget about that. Don't be anywhere particular since we're going to be using the dies to cut him out, which this is again one of the die sets that I have. I try to buy the die sets if they are coordinating dies with stamps because it just makes it so much easier than doing the fussy cutting, I think they call it. So I'm using, if you guys have seen my previous videos, Spellbinder Celebrations. And I love this ink because it's a hybrid ink. And it's great for coloring in. It works great with alcohol-based markers, water-based markers, watercolor paint. I've never ever have had any of it to run. So we'll have to stamp him probably a few times because watercolor paper is very absorbent, and so the ink soaks in really quickly. So I have very cheap alcohol-based markers. I got these off Amazon, and if I can find the link again, I will put them in my description for these. They're great for beginners. I do want to get some Copics one day, but they are an investment. They're extremely expensive. I think this is the 48 or 68. Can't remember. This is like the medium size set of these, and I think it only costs like $29 or $39. Very cheap. And I already did like a little swatch of all this hipster stamps to kind of give me an idea of what colors I need or want. On the backs, I just write what colors of these that I used. So I will speed this up so you guys don't have to sit here and watch me do all these. And we'll be back to cut him out. Okay, so there he's colored in, and now we will use our die set here to cut him out. Like I said, this is a little more tricky, is trying to get it lined up here. And I have to use a little washi tape to help hold it down, even though I have a magnetic plate on the bottom here. When I'm doing something that's going to try to be precise, I like to have something to really hold it. Just to make sure it doesn't move. And you already see there's some spots we'll have to recolor in. That's why I kind of decided to color them in first, so I knew where everything would cut. And then I'll go back in and fix that real quick. And this watercolor paper sometimes doesn't cut so well. It is pretty thick. So this is how you cut out. I have to fix a few pieces of those real quick with some scissors. But there's a few places we need to touch up, which will be an easy fix. Okay, so what I had to do was just turn him over, and I used my little blade here, and I picked out some of the pieces that didn't cut so well with the die cut. Like I said, this watercolor paper is really thick. It's probably the maximum thickness you could probably use with your die cut. But we fixed him, and he turned out great. I added a little few highlights here in his hair with some orange. And we fixed the spots that were white still. So now, I'm thinking about putting him right about here. But we need to now stamp. I'm going to make this into a birthday card. So I want to stamp happy birthday on the front of this. And the stamp set that I have here is by Stampers Anonymous Tim Holtz collection, and we're going to do the happy birthday. I love the scripty look of these stamps. So bring him back in here and just kind of get where I always try to make sure things are straight. I'm not the greatest at doing that, but I do try. This will take a few stamps because since that Distress Oxide does have like I said, like a chalky feel to it, kind of got to get it to go through it. That is one thing I really have noticed with that stuff. Okay. These are the little 3D square, what I call them squares, with the little 3D foam dots here. We'll turn him over here and And I might do, at the very end, I might put a little glossy accents on his eyes. I really love this stuff. So now we will work on the inside sentiment and we'll finish up. So before we move on to the card base, I just now hit me. I actually have these crazy thoughts that kind of go along with the line of the crazy birds and the hipsters and all those. And I think I have enough room to fit this one on my card. Like, who doesn't want to eat more cake? I'm going to do that now before we put the card front on there. So this will be the right side up. And now we're going to, real quick, I almost forgot, I love this, I've been in love with this Sparkle Silk, and I'll have a link in my description for it. This stuff's amazing. So what I'm going to try to do is kind of control my spots here. I'm going to try to paint on a little bit over this pop. And we'll hit a little bit with the heat tool here just to dry it. Like I said, once again, I like to do this a little bit. That helps. I like to do that because it helps curl it back down when you do the backs like that. So, well, it shows up too good here. Hopefully it does for you. It looks so much better in person. But there we go. So now we will apply some adhesive to the back. So here's my finished card. And eat more cake. And I also like to always try to add a little handmade stamp there just so people know. Most people should know it's handmade, but not everybody. You'd be shocked how many people don't realize that. And right before we go, I would like to add a little glossy accents to his eyes. Sometimes I keep a little pin here. Sometimes you got to clear the clog. It does clog up once in a while. And once that dries, they'll be crystal clear and it'll be a little bit of a pop to his eyes. So, thank you guys for watching. And if you haven't already, please remember to subscribe. And there's a little bell next to the subscribe button. If you click on that, that will give you alerts for every video I post, so it helps you to keep up to date. Also, I like to remind you to check in the descriptions. There will be a supply list to most of the supplies that I used here today. Also, too, there's links to my social media that you can reach out to me on there anytime. And also a few links to a few people I like to help support. Also, before we go, I like to tell you guys about this distress glaze. This will be in the description too. This stuff is great for any of the distress inks since they're water-based. You can seal your cards, which I did a video on this, and I'll have that also too show up here on the video on how to do this and how it looks and works. Highly recommend this stuff if you want to ever seal your cards and keep them from getting ruined by more water being applied to them, but you only can do that after you're completely done, because it is forever. So thank you guys again for watching. I really appreciate your viewership, and I hope I can help you along your creative journey. Bye.